The red dust of Mars swirled around the mining vessel as it descended toward the polar ice caps. Captain Tom Reed watched through the main viewport, his weathered face reflecting off the reinforced glass. His crew of 6 had been working this sector for months, searching for rare minerals in the ancient Martian ice. None of them expected to find anything more than frozen water and rock. They were wrong. The ship's sensors began beeping urgently. "Captain," called out Jack, the sensor operator, "I'm picking up some strange readings from below the ice. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." The energy signature pulsed steadily, a rhythm too perfect to be natural. As they hovered closer to investigate, their drilling lasers revealed something that shouldn't exist: a massive metal door, perfectly preserved beneath millions of years of ice. The discovery sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Within hours, curious onlookers from various species gathered in orbit around Mars, watching as teams of experts began carefully excavating the site. The Galactic Council, which had long considered the Sol system a protected historical zone, sent their highest-ranking archaeologists. But what they found wasn't just another ruin. Deep beneath the Martian ice lay a vast facility, its corridors stretching for kilometers. Emergency lights, powered by ancient fusion reactors, still cast their soft blue glow across pristine walls. The air inside was breathable, maintained by systems that had run without failure for 3 centuries. And in the heart of the facility, they found them. Row after row of cryopods, each containing a sleeping human. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands of them. Warriors, scientists, leaders, the elite of humanity's golden age, preserved in perfect suspension. The alien archaeologists argued about what to do. Some wanted to leave them sleeping, others wished to study them. But the decision was taken from them when the facility's AI detected the presence of non-human life forms. Following protocols set centuries ago, it began the revival sequence for its primary occupant. Pod A001 hissed as it opened, releasing a cloud of cryovapor. Inside lay Commander James Stone, his military uniform still crisp, his face showing no signs of age despite the centuries of sleep. The attending aliens stepped back, a mix of fear and awe on their alien features, as the human's eyes opened for the first time in 300 years. Stone's first words were simple: "Status report." The facility's AI responded immediately, its voice echoing through the chambers. "Commander Stone, you have been in suspension for 312 years, 4 months, 15 days. Revival protocols initiated due to facility breach by non-human entities. All systems functional. All personnel stable." The commander sat up slowly, his military training evident in every controlled movement. His eyes, sharp and alert, surveyed the alien observers. Some of them he recognized from humanity's historical records. Others were completely unknown to him. "I see the galaxy has changed while we slept," he said, his voice carrying the weight of authority that had once commanded humanity's combined forces, though perhaps not as much as everyone thinks. One of the alien archaeologists, a tall being with iridescent scales, stepped forward. "Impossible," it whispered. "The humans were extinct. Your cities were empty, your colonies abandoned." Stone's laugh was without humor. "Is that what they told you? That we were extinct?" He stood up fully now, his height impressive even by human standards. "We weren't extinct. We were waiting." The facility rumbled as more pods began their revival sequence. Throughout the complex, thousands of screens lit up with the same message: Operation Phoenix initiated. Status: active. In orbit above Mars, ancient defense satellites that had been mistaken for space debris suddenly powered up. Across the solar system, supposedly dead human installations began showing signs of life. And in the Galactic Council's historical archives, every file about humanity's extinction was suddenly flagged as incorrect. The gods of war had not died. They had only been sleeping. And now, they were awake. Commander Stone sat in what had once been a human embassy on Mars, now converted into a museum of extinct human culture. His fingers traced the edge of a datapad containing 3 centuries of galactic history. Behind him, 20 of his best officers stood silently, each processing the truth of their new reality. "So," Stone said, looking at the alien historian before him, "you're telling me that Earth is now a tourist attraction." The historian, a blue-skinned being named Ral, nodded nervously. "Yes, Commander. The Galactic Council declared it a protected historical site. No one is allowed to disturb the ruins." Stone's face remained calm, but his eyes hardened. "And who exactly sits on this Galactic Council?" Ral brought up a holographic display showing 4 distinct alien races. The Valorians control most of the trade routes. The Nexus handle technology development. The Syndicate manages resources, and the Primarch oversee law and order. "Interesting," Stone said, zooming in on each species' details. "And where do the other 50 spacefaring races fit in?" They survive," Ral admitted. "The Council makes the rules. Everyone else follows them." One of Stone's officers, Major Webb, stepped forward. "Sir, our deep space sensors are back online. You'll want to see this." The commander turned to a wall screen where data began streaming in. It showed thousands of ships moving between stars, but something was wrong. The trade routes were inefficient, the defense patterns wasteful. It was as if someone had deliberately made space travel more difficult than it needed to be. "Tell me, Ral," Stone said quietly, "why does every ship avoid the old human quantum corridors?" The historian's face paled slightly. "Those areas are declared dangerous. The Council says the quantum radiation from human weapons made them unsafe." Stone pressed a button on his uniform. Instantly, ancient human satellites across the system began broadcasting data. The quantum corridors were perfectly safe. They always had been. "Let me tell you what I see," Stone said, standing up. "I see artificial trade barriers. I see enforced technological regression. I see a council that's been lying to the galaxy for 300 years. Ral stepped back, nervous. "The official records say humanity destroyed itself in civil war. The records lie." Stone's voice was like steel. "We didn't destroy ourselves. We went to sleep because we saw what was coming. The Council, or whatever they called themselves back then, they were pushing for war. They wanted our technology, our worlds. So we gave them exactly what they wanted: empty planets and ruined cities." Screens around the room lit up as more human systems came online. Hidden sensors, dormant for centuries, revealed the true state of the galaxy. The Council hadn't just taken over, they had systematically suppressed other races' development. "Major Webb," Stone called out, "begin awakening sequence for all sleeping facilities. Priority to science teams first, then military personnel." "Sir," Webb responded, "we're detecting Council ships changing course. They're heading to Earth." Stone smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Of course they are. They think they'll find more sleeping humans to study. They don't realize yet." "Realize what?" Ral asked, unable to help himself. "That every ruin they've been studying, every dead facility they've cataloged, every radiation zone they've marked off, they're all still active. We didn't leave our technology lying around for anyone to steal. We simply made it look broken." As if to prove his point, a massive hologram appeared above Mars, visible to every ship in orbit. It showed the true state of human space: vast networks of quantum highways, hidden defense platforms, and technological wonders that the Council had spent centuries trying and failing to recreate. "Send a message to these Council members," Stone ordered. "Tell them humanity would like to discuss the past 300 years of galactic management. They have 24 hours to respond." Ral watched in awe as more human systems activated across the solar system. The sleeping giants hadn't just preserved themselves, they had planned for this moment. Every primitive human ruin was a disguised masterpiece of technology, waiting for its masters to return. The gods of war hadn't just awakened. They had caught their enemies in a trap 3 centuries in the making. The council's representatives watched in stunned silence as Commander Stone walked into what they had always thought was a broken human laboratory on Luna Base. With a simple wave of his hand, ancient machines hummed to life. Holographic displays filled the air, and dormant quantum cores pulsed with energy. "You see," Stone said, pointing to a spinning diagram of particles, "what you've been calling primitive human quantum theory wasn't even our basic science. It was just what we wanted you to find." Dr. Miller, one of the recently awakened human scientists, stepped forward. Her white lab coat contrasted sharply with the black uniforms of the military personnel around her. In her hands, she held what looked like a simple metal cube. "This," she said, placing the cube on a central table, "is what real human quantum mechanics looks like." The cube floated into the air, split apart, and transformed into a miniature galaxy of light and energy. Every council member in the room took an involuntary step back. "Impossible," whispered the Valorian representative. "Our best scientists spent centuries trying to understand human technology. They said your quantum manipulation was crude, barely functional." Stone smiled. "They studied what we left behind. The broken pieces. The false trails. Tell me, in 300 years, did any of you ever wonder why you couldn't replicate even our primitive technology?" Around the room, more scientists were activating systems that had laid dormant for centuries. Each activation revealed another layer of humanity's true technological might. What the galaxy had thought were dead defense platforms around Jupiter suddenly sparkled with life, their quantum shields making them virtually invisible. "Major Webb," Stone called out, "show them the solar system as we left it, and as it actually is." 2 holograms appeared side by side. The first showed what the council believed they knew, a scattered collection of abandoned human outposts and ruins. The second showed the truth, a vast network of interconnected quantum facilities, automated factories, and defense systems that spanned from Mercury to the Kuiper Belt. "My God," the Nexus representative gasped. "The ruins were never ruins." "No," Dr. Miller confirmed. "They were sleeping, just like us. Every facility, every station, every piece of technology, all waiting for the right moment to wake up." As if to emphasize her point, a massive structure beneath Luna's surface began to rise. What the council had dismissed as a collapsed mining facility revealed itself as a fully operational quantum forge, capable of producing technologies the galaxy had thought impossible. Stone walked to a window overlooking Earth. "We knew war was coming. We saw how the powerful races looked at our worlds, our technology. So we gave them a choice: fight us at our full strength, or wait until we were extinct. They chose to wait." "But why?" asked the syndicate member. "Why pretend to die out?" "Because we needed to know," Stone replied. "We needed to see what you would do with a galaxy you thought you controlled. Would you guide the younger races, help them grow? Or would you hold them back, keep them weak, dependent?" Dr. Miller activated another display, showing hundreds of suppressed technological breakthroughs from various species. "We watched while we slept. Every time a young race came close to a quantum breakthrough, the Council steered them away. Every time a civilization began to show true potential, they were convinced to focus elsewhere." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just hidden their true power, they had been gathering evidence, building a case against those who would keep the galaxy in chains. Stone turned to face the council members, his voice firm but not unkind. "Now you understand why we had to wake up. The galaxy needs balance. It needs freedom to grow. And if the current leadership can't provide that..." He let the sentence hang unfinished as, across the solar system, more human facilities revealed themselves. Each one was a testament to power held in check, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The gods of war had not just preserved their strength, they had built a case for justice that spanned 3 centuries. The Council's diplomatic fleet, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 500 warships, their weapons barely concealed behind ceremonial shields, moved slowly toward Earth. On the bridge of the human command center in Luna Base, Commander Stone watched them approach with calm eyes. "They really think we can't see through those ceremonial shields," Major Webb said, shaking his head. "Sir, I count at least 12 different weapon types aimed at Earth." Stone nodded. "Let them come closer. Dr. Miller, are the nanoforges ready?" The scientist looked up from her control panel, a slight smile on her face. "Ready and waiting, Commander." 3 centuries of sleep gave them plenty of time to gather resources. The Council fleet, led by their flagship, Peacebearer, transmitted their message. "We come to welcome humanity back to the galactic community. Please power down your defense systems as a show of good faith." Stone's response was simple: no. The Council ships continued forward, their formation spreading out to surround Earth. They thought they were being clever, positioning themselves for a surprise attack. They didn't realize they were following a battle plan that humans had predicted 3 centuries ago. "Sir," Webb called out, "they're charging weapons." "Right on schedule," Stone replied. He pressed a button on his command chair. "This is Commander Stone to all Awaken facilities. Execute Defense Plan Phoenix." What happened next would be told in stories across the galaxy for generations. The dead space around the Council fleet suddenly came alive. Thousands of microscopic nanoforged satellites, hidden in what looked like debris, activated at once. Each one was smaller than a human hand, but together they began to build something massive. "What's happening?" the Council fleet commander demanded as his sensors went crazy. "What are those things?" They watched in horror as the nanoforges worked. In less than 5 minutes, they had constructed a complete defense grid around the entire fleet. Every escape route was blocked by newly built quantum barriers. Stone stood up. "Now let me show you why they called us the gods of war." He nodded to Dr. Miller, who activated the nanoforge's second phase. The tiny machines began breaking down the ceremonial shields of the Council ships, using their very materials to construct more defenses. The mighty fleet found itself trapped in a cage built from its own armor. "Impossible," the Council commander shouted. "No one has this kind of technology." "No one you know," Stone corrected. "Major Webb, show them what a real human battle station looks like." From behind Mars, a massive structure emerged. What the Council had thought was a destroy human station reconstructed itself before their eyes. Its quantum cores pulsed with power as it moved into position. "This is your only warning," Stone announced to the fleet. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted out of the solar system. Or don't. The choice is yours." Several Council ships panicked and opened fire. Their weapons disappeared into quantum fields, absorbed and redirected. The human battle station didn't even bother to shoot back. Instead, the nanoforges simply began dismantling the attacking ships piece by piece, leaving their crews in intact life pods. Within an hour, half the Council fleet had surrendered. The other half floated powerless, their ships transformed into raw materials for the ever-growing human defense network. "Send a message to the Council," Stone ordered. "Tell them their fleet is being held safely. Their crews are unharmed, and if they want to avoid seeing more demonstrations of human technology, they should prepare for serious negotiations." Dr. Miller checked her readings. The nanoforges have already rebuilt 3 more defense platforms using the Council ship's materials. Quite efficient, really. Stone looked at the stunned faces of the captured Council commanders on his view screen. "Remember this day," he told them. "Remember that we could have destroyed you, but chose not to. Humanity didn't wake up for revenge. We woke up to fix what's broken." The news spread across the galaxy at light speed. The humans hadn't just defeated a Council fleet. They had done it without firing a single shot. Their technology didn't just surpass the Council's. It made it obsolete. The gods of war had made their point, And they had done it with engineering rather than bloodshed. News of the Council fleet's defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On thousands of worlds, the supposedly lesser species watched recordings of human nanoforges dismantling the most powerful ships in space. Hope, long suppressed, began to grow. Commander Stone stood in the newly reactivated Earth Command Center, watching reports flood in from across the stars. Beside him, Major Webb organized the incoming messages. "Sir," Webb reported, "we're receiving requests for protection from over 30 different species. The Trill, the Forge Makers, even the deep space miners. They all want our help." Stone nodded, studying a holographic map showing political shifts across the galaxy. "And the Council members?" "Breaking apart, sir. The Valorians are blaming the Nexus for the failed attack. The Syndicate is trying to freeze everyone's assets. The Primarch, they've gone silent." Dr. Miller walked in, carrying new data readings. "Commander, you need to see this. We're detecting quantum signatures matching our technology. They're coming from hidden bases across the galaxy." Stone smiled. "Right on time. Open a channel to base Delta 7. The screen lit up, showing a face that made the alien observers in the room gasp. It was another human, Professor Adam West, looking not a day older than when he went to sleep centuries ago. "Good to see you awake, Commander," West said. "I trust our little demonstration was sufficient." "More than sufficient, Professor. Are the other bases ready?" West nodded. "All of them. While you slept in Sol's system, we kept watch from the shadows. Every piece of technology the Council tried to suppress, we preserved. Every species they tried to hold back, we secretly helped." The holographic map updated, showing hundreds of hidden human outposts revealing themselves across the galaxy. Each one had been disguised as ancient ruins or natural phenomena, waiting for this moment. A new message flashed on the main screen. The Nexus, one of the 4 Council powers, was requesting emergency talks. Their message was simple: "We were wrong." Stone turned to his officers. "Looks like some of them are finally learning. Dr. Miller, show them what else we've been keeping safe." Dr. Miller activated a special quantum channel. Across the galaxy, hidden vaults opened. Inside each one were scientific and technological discoveries that the Council had tried to destroy. Not just human innovations, but breakthroughs from dozens of species. "You see," Stone explained to the watching galaxy, "we didn't just preserve our own knowledge. We saved everyone's. Every time the Council found a species getting too advanced, too independent, we were there. Collecting, protecting, waiting." The evidence was overwhelming. Records showed centuries of Council manipulation, but they also showed centuries of human preparation. Every suppressed invention, every silenced scientist, every hidden discovery, all saved by humanity's secret network. Professor West spoke again. "Tell them the rest, Commander. Tell them why we really went to sleep." Stone faced the galaxy-wide broadcast. "We could have fought the Council 300 years ago. We could have won. But that would have only replaced one group of conquerors with another. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, to give younger species time to develop, to prove their worth." More ships were arriving in the solar system now, but not Council warships. These were representatives from the lesser species, coming to thank humanity for their secret help across the centuries. "Your Council," Stone continued, "thought they were watching us. But we were the ones watching them, testing them. And now, after 300 years, we have our answer." Dr. Miller pulled up the final data. Thousands of documented cases of Council corruption, oppression, and deliberate suppression of progress. "We didn't wake up to conquer you," Stone declared to the galaxy. "We woke up to set you free." The response was immediate. Across countless worlds, species that had lived under Council control for centuries began to rise up. Not with violence, but with the confidence of those who finally had proof of their oppression, and protectors strong enough to defend them. The gods of war had revealed their true purpose. They weren't conquerors or destroyers. They were guardians, waiting for the right moment to help the galaxy break its chains. The Council hardliners made their final move at dawn. 10,000 ships, the combined might of those who refused to accept change, jumped into the Sol system. They came from all directions, thinking they could overwhelm humanity's defenses through sheer numbers. Commander Stone watched them arrive from Earth Command Center, his face calm. So they chose the hard way. Multiple attack vectors, Major Webb reported. They're targeting every human facility we've revealed. Dr. Miller looked up from her station. They don't realize, do they, sir? No, Stone said quietly. They don't. Activate Defense Protocol Ultimate. All stations. Across the solar system, what the Council thought were simple human ruins began to transform. The broken dome of Mars base split open, revealing a massive quantum cannon, the asteroid belt, which everyone thought was natural space debris, reorganized itself into an interlocking network of defense platforms. Sir, Webb called out, they're broadcasting their demands. They want us to return to sleep. They're saying the galaxy isn't ready for us. Stone stood up. Professor West, are all the hidden bases ready? The professor's face appeared on screen. Ready and waiting, Commander. 3 centuries of preparation for this exact moment. Then let's show them why they call us the gods of war. What happened next would be remembered for 1,000 years. Every human ruin throughout the galaxy activated at once. The Council ships suddenly found themselves surrounded not just in Sol system, but everywhere. Hidden bases on moons, in asteroid fields, even in the hearts of dead stars, all came to life. Remember, Stone broadcast to all human forces, minimal casualties. We're here to stop them, not destroy them. The Council fleet opened fire first. Their weapons, the most powerful in known space, shot toward Earth. But before they could hit, the sky itself seemed to change. The quantum defense grid, hidden in plain sight for centuries, absorbed every shot. They still don't understand, Dr. Miller said, watching the readings. Every weapon they fire just makes our shields stronger. Stone nodded. Show them what real power looks like. The nanoforges, now spread throughout the solar system, began their work. Council ships found their weapons transforming into useless metal. Their engines, touched by quantum fields, simply stopped. Some of the largest battleships were gently taken apart and reassembled into containment vessels for their own crews. Sir, Webb reported with amazement, not a single casualty on either side. That's when they unleashed their greatest weapon. Not a device of destruction, but one of revelation. Every ship in the Council fleet suddenly received complete data about their own leader's corruption. Every soldier saw proof of how they'd been manipulated. Every officer learned the true history they'd been denied. 3 centuries, Stone broadcast to the fleet. For 3 centuries we watched you build weapons, suppress worlds, and rule through fear. We could have stopped you at any time. But we needed everyone to see the truth for themselves. The Council ships began powering down, one by one, not surrendering to superior firepower, but accepting the weight of undeniable truth. In a final, desperate move, the Council flagship attempted to activate its quantum drive. The humans let them try. The ship's engines powered up, glowed bright, and transformed into crystal. The entire vessel now hung in space like a beautiful sculpture. A gift, Dr. Miller explained to the stunned Council crew, to remind everyone what happens when you try to use technology you don't understand. Within hours, the battle, if it could be called that, was over. Not one life lost, not one ship destroyed. Instead, the mighty Council armada hung suspended in space, their crews safe but powerless, surrounded by the most advanced technology they'd ever seen. Stone looked at the frozen ships, now more art than weapons. Send word to all human bases. The war is over. Begin the restoration protocol. Across the galaxy, hidden human facilities started sharing their stored knowledge with all species. The age of suppression was ending. The gods of war had proven their might not through destruction, but through protection. The Council's last desperate attack had failed not because humanity was stronger, but because they were wiser. They had waited centuries not just to gather evidence, but to prove they deserved the power they held. 1 month after the failed Council attack, representatives from every known species gathered in the restored United Nations building in New York. The ancient hall, dormant for centuries, now hummed with the voices of 1,000 worlds. Commander Stone stood at the podium, looking out at the assembled delegates. Behind him, the wall displayed a simple message: peace through understanding. 300 years ago, Stone began, humanity made a choice. We could have ruled the galaxy through force. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, and to prepare for this day. In orbit above Earth, the transformed Council ships still hum like crystal sculptures, a reminder of power tempered by wisdom. Dr. Miller and her team had begun teaching other species how to safely use quantum technology. Today, Stone continued, we signed the Galactic Freedom Accord, not as rulers, but as guardians. Every species, no matter how small, will have a voice. Every discovery will be shared. Every world will have the chance to grow. Major Webb, standing at attention nearby, handed Stone the first document. It wasn't digital, but printed on real paper, a human tradition that had survived the centuries. The former council members have acknowledged their wrongs, Stone announced. But we don't seek punishment. We seek understanding. The Valorian representative stood up. We were wrong about humanity. We thought your sleep was weakness. Now we understand it was wisdom. Professor West activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Thousands of points of light represented hidden human bases, each now transformed into learning centers. Every species would have access to the knowledge humanity had protected. But there's something else you need to know, Stone said, his voice carrying across the hall. Something we discovered during our long sleep. The display changed, showing a threat approaching from outside the galaxy. Strange readings, unknown ships, signals that made no sense. This is why we really went to sleep, Stone explained. Our quantum sensors detected this threat centuries ago. We knew the galaxy needed to be united before it arrived. But unity through conquest isn't unity at all. It had to come through understanding. The hall erupted in murmurs as the delegates realized the full scope of humanity's plan. They hadn't just been preserving knowledge and watching the council. They had been preparing the galaxy for something bigger. The threat will arrive in 50 years, Stone continued. Enough time for us to teach you everything we know. Enough time for all of us to grow stronger together. Dr. Miller stepped forward, carrying a quantum core. Every species here will receive one of these, not just the technology, but the understanding of how to use it wisely. Because the next war won't be between us. It will be for survival itself. One by one, representatives from every world came forward to sign the accord. Former council races stood alongside the species they had once oppressed, all of them understanding at last why humanity had chosen its long sleep. We are not your rulers, Stone declared as the last signature was added. We are not your gods. We are your teachers, your allies, and when needed, your defenders. The knowledge we protected belongs to all of us now. The crystal ships in orbit began to transform again, their structures flowing like water. When they finished, they had become massive teaching centers, ready to share the wisdom of centuries. 300 years ago, we were called the gods of war, Stone said, looking at each delegate in turn. Today, let us be known as the architects of peace. As if responding to his words, quantum cores across the galaxy pulsed with new energy. The hidden human bases, their work of protection finally complete, transformed into beacons of learning. The age of secrets was over. Professor West activated the final protocol. Across every world, quantum channels opened, ready to share knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. The barriers between species began to fall. The gods of war had fulfilled their true purpose, not through violence, not through force, but through patience, wisdom, and the ultimate power of understanding. As the delegates filed out to begin their work, Stone looked up at the stars through the glass ceiling. Somewhere out there, an unknown threat was approaching. But this time, when it arrived, it wouldn't find a divided galaxy ruled by fear. It would find all species standing together, taught by those who had chosen to sleep so others could wake up to their true potential.